Hey roamers, I'm Jamie.
I'm Linda. This is Dexter.
And this is Roaming with Rosie.
Our 2.5-month-long visit to southern Texas is coming to a close. As the month of April was winding down, the temperatures along the Texas Riviera were heating up. Our 1,200 watts of solar and Lion Energy lithium batteries would still not be enough for 24/7 operation of our large basement AC, and where we were headed, running a generator at night is not allowed. If you've been following our travels, you know that due to the constant wind blowing fine sand plus moist salty air that had already rusted a good portion of our stuff, we did not beach boondock as planned on Mustang Island or Padre Island. Instead, we've been relying on various public campgrounds in state and county parks here. With that, we made the decision to continue our stay in Mustang Island State Park and commute the 20 miles for a day trip to Padre Island National Seashore. This national treasure is located on North Padre Island, usually just called Padre Island. Once an unbroken stretch of land, the island was separated into North and South Padre with the cutting of Mansfield Channel in 1962. This channel created a passage between Port Mansfield and the Gulf of Mexico. In contrast to South Padre Island, known as a vacation hotspot and for spring break parties, Padre Island National Seashore is located on North Padre Island with preservation as the priority. North Padre Island is the longest undeveloped barrier island in the world. The Padre Island National Seashore is 70 miles long with 65.5 miles of Gulf front beach. Our first stop was the shores of Laguna Madre, which separates Padre Island from the Texas mainland. This is the location of the Bird Island Campground. Primitive sites right on the water are great to enjoy kayaking, canoeing, or windsurfing, which we watched a lot of while we were there. The Laguna Madre is one of the most important and unspoiled lagoon ecosystems in Texas. 75% of its shores are protected by the Wildlife Refuge to the west and the Padre Island National Seashore on the east. Very little fresh water flows into the bay from the mainland. This is super salty water. On its own, it was very shallow, with some parts being only a half a foot deep. However, portions are dredged to maintain a 12-foot deep intercoastal waterway along the entire bay. It's probably best if you're self-contained, but if you're roughing it, there are chemical toilets here. There's also flush toilets and cold water rinse showers available at the Malaquite Pavilion Bathhouse. More details on camping in a minute. Did I mention windsurfing? The knee-high water levels with a sandy floor are perfect for learning the sport or learning some new tricks. Windsurfing magazine ranks this as the best flatwater sailing site in the continental United States. You don't even need your own equipment or know how to do it. World Winds Windsurfing is there to help you get going with rentals and lessons. The Grasslands Nature Trail was our next stop. Wildflowers had bloomed in abundance in early spring, but this late in April, we were lucky that we got to see some of those that lingered. Padre Island National Seashore was dedicated on April 8, 1968, by then-President Lyndon B. Johnson, who was from Texas. Around 10,000 people gathered for the event. The park's purpose was to preserve and protect the longest section of undeveloped barrier island in the world. On this trail, we learned that only 2% of 13 million acres of Texas's grassland prairie still exist. Padre Island National Seashore preserves this habitat and is a vital stopover for migrating birds. It gave us something to think about, that what we see here today is much the same as what the indigenous people saw hundreds of years ago. Tucked into the dunes with a view of the Gulf of Mexico and just half a mile north of the visitor center, Malaquite Campground features 48 semi-primitive designated sites. Sites on the Gulf side also have shade structures and grills. There's no hookups available, but there is a dump station and potable water filling station off of the entry road to the campground. Since there are no hookups, you may plan to use your generator. You need to know that no generators may be run from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Tent campers are welcome to set up camp on the beach or at the campsite. Each site has a maximum capacity of 2 tents, 2 vehicles, and 8 people. Camping is accommodated on a first-come, first-served basis, as they don't take any reservations. This campground provides flush toilets and cold water rinse showers, as well as paved parking, and each site has a picnic table. There's also 3 more much more primitive areas for camping further into the park, but for the most part, they say that 4-wheel drive high-clearance vehicles are needed to reach them. In 1970, the remains of San Esteban were discovered here. It was one of 3 Spanish ships that ran aground in 1554. Those 3 ships had tons of treasure bound for Spain and 300 passengers, making it known as the Wreck of 300. Many of the artifacts that have been recovered are held in the Corpus Christi Museum of Science and History. Malaquite Pavilion is the center for visitor services. There's normally exhibits and park programs. However, when we were there, the exhibit building was closed and all park programs were canceled. The ranger I spoke with said it was due to low staffing. However, the gift shop was open and offered some basic supplies and snacks. The pavilion itself is really nice, has 2 observation decks, restrooms, and showers, as well as lots of picnic tables. We explored the building a bit just so that we could take in the views from the different levels of the observation decks. Then we headed for the beach.
Going to the beach.
This is a beautiful beachfront. Since Dexter was allowed there, we headed north for a long walk. Natural and cultural resources are protected here, as in most national parks. However, you're allowed to keep up to a 5-gallon bucket filled with treasures you find, although you need to check shells carefully to make sure no animal is living in it. If so, back it goes. For thousands of years, the currents of the Gulf of Mexico have brought natural objects to the shores of Padre Island. But, like other beaches we visited along the Texas Riviera, they also bring anything that is thrown or emptied into the Gulf. Bottles, shoes, buckets, light bulbs, lumber, oil, it goes on and on. And some of this trash rode currents from continents on the other side of the globe. There's an international treaty to limit the dumping of waste into the Gulf, but enforcement is difficult at best. Plus, many items have not been thrown directly into the Gulf. Debris can rush down from far within the interior of a country by traveling from sewer to stream to river and then to the open sea. Friends of Padre is a non-profit organization that organizes the annual Big Shell Beach Cleanup. They clean up the Big Shell portion of the Padre Island National Seashore that can only be reached by four-wheel drive vehicle. Since its inception, over 13,000 volunteers have removed over 3 million pounds of trash from Big Shell's remote and wild stretch of beach. In 1978, a joint program with the United States and Mexico began. It was to reestablish nesting beaches for the almost extinct Kemp's Ridley sea turtle. Since then, Ridley nesting has increased, with about 60% of Ridley nests in the U.S. found on North Padre Island. There's opportunities to be involved in protecting nests as well as hatchlings. More information will be in the description below. As the day was coming to a close, I was disappointed that we weren't camping here. But we hope to return in the future with either a little more solar capacity or come at a cooler time of year. We headed back to our campsite just 20 miles north of here at Mustang Island State Park. We had a few more days to soak in the sea breezes before saying goodbye to beach life, and we had a bit more exploring to do. And Dexter needed a bath.
We are camping at a Texas State Park again. I got another last second reservation for 3 nights.
Mustang Island State Park.
It's coming out at about $18 a night with electric and water. They've got a dump station near the entrance exit. So we just had some dinner. It's Easter. So we got some barbecue to celebrate. And it's Passover and it's Ramadan. But we are taking a walk down to the beach here at the state park. We're camped here up on the hill, like there. We can still hear the water though from where we are. The sand is so fine, and we were tracking it into the car and everything. So I was happy that we could grab this state park site and kind of keep the sand at a distance from the RV.
Yeah.
And the salt water, the salt in the air. We're gonna have to get the RV washed before we leave Mustang Island for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna want to get all the salt and everything off of it.
So it's getting kind of windy here. I'm just gonna give you our view, and we'll talk more to you in a little while.
On the last episode, we showed you some of the Gulfside Beach right off the campground. This time we're going to show you the Corpus Christi Bayside of the park, where some great fishing opportunities are found among the pristine waters of the shallow marsh and flats of this coastal bend. An estimated 600 species of saltwater fish inhabit these coastal waters. The Bayside of the island acts as a nursery for sea creatures. Shrimp, crabs, fish of all kinds grow in these protected waters before migrating to the open Gulf. We actually ended up not getting out of the car much over here because we forgot the insect repellent, and there's nasty biting flies that seem to just be waiting for human flesh. Another cool thing about this state park is the paddling trails. They go through the marsh and along the Bayside shoreline for fishing or birding. Within this area, Fish Pass Channel was created so that fish could migrate between the bay and the Gulf. However, the jetties were built too short and it continued to silt up, needing frequent dredging. In the early 80s, it closed for good. We frequently saw people fishing from the jetty as well as from the shore. And it's easy to find the best spot to catch some fish from the shore. Just follow the birds.
Won't that hurt him? Just knocked him unconscious. He just got picked up by that seagull.
Jeez,
No, that's how he keeps getting up here. You do it again? Oh no, wrong way. Wrong way. Just washed him up again, and they're waiting to grab him again, but he's too big for them. Look. That's what they eat.
I found it pretty entertaining to just sit and watch the various shorebirds all day. It was obvious how they observe each other in order to find where the fish are. And then I always think of the movie Finding Nemo, how the seagulls were translated as saying, mine, mine, mine. Walking the shore, we reminisced and appreciated that we had been able to spend a couple of months at the beach without breaking the bank. But now it's time to head back west. We were heading to higher elevations of New Mexico to spend the summer months. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Roaming with Rosie and will share it with your friends and family. If you're new to this channel and want to see more videos like this, just click the subscribe button and the bell so you'll be notified each time we put out a new video. And we love hearing from you and invite you to leave a comment down in this video's description. There's also links down there for more information on the places we visited in this episode, as well as discounts for things we use and approve of. We do sometimes get a small commission when you use our approved links to make a purchase at no additional cost to you. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, see ya!